Hello, welcome back to the channel. So today I thought we could just have a little cozy sketchbook afternoon. It's really cold at the minute, it's about like 3 or 4 degrees, so I'm not going outside, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying in, I'm being cozy. I've got my tea, I've got my sketchbook. I don't know if you can tell, but this is a jumper, and then over the top I've got like a dressing gown, bathrobe type situation. The priority is staying in and being warm today. So yeah, I thought a little cozy sketchbook afternoon would be absolutely perfect. And today's particularly exciting because we have got some new art supplies to try out and review. Ta-da! So Arrtx has very kindly sent me their 126 colour set of saturated softcore coloured pencils. This is brand new, I haven't even opened it yet. So we're gonna rip into these and get them swatched and do some drawing. That is on the agenda today. Okay, I guess this comes off. Ooh, beautiful. You can't pick this up, but the smell has just hit me. I feel like coloured pencils have a really certain smell to them that's just so, it's just so nostalgic. It just reminds me of school, you know, the art classroom. I really appreciate that these have all come pre-sharpened. So many coloured pencil sets you open up and you've got to sit and sharpen 126 pencils, but we shan't be doing that today. These are pre-sharpened, which is good. I really like the look of the colour palette. I like that there's quite a lot of deep murky colours, which may be less exciting to look at than the really bright colours, but these are the ones that are the most useful when it comes to building up scenes, especially like nature-y scenes, shadowing and blending colours. We've just got a lot to work with. I'm going to swatch all of these in my sketchbook, so you can see all of the different colours that we've got, and I'll talk to you a little bit about what I think about the texture and how they are to use. And then when I've done that, I have got a little idea in mind for a drawing I want to do with these today, and we will crack on with that. Is it cold where you guys are as well? Has autumn, winter hit where you are? If this is your first time on my channel, I live in Scotland, where I love Scotland, it's very beautiful, but we do have a sort of 6-month long winter. To live here, you've got to really enjoy a bit of gloom, which I do, so. But yeah, I'm really embracing the winter. Last night, me and Andy had a movie night. We had like dragged blankets in the living room, had apple pie and watched movies. It was very cozy and lovely. And that is the spirit I'm going to be embodying for winter. I think it's important to create that this time of year. That's the first colour. This one is Venetian red. I feel like that will be a really nice line art colour actually. Sometimes I like to do red line art. And that one is terracotta. Tell you what, it will take me absolutely ages to swatch all of these. So I'm gonna time lapse through these and then check in with you afterwards and let you know what I think of how they feel to draw with. By the timestamp on my camera, obviously a lot sped up, but for me that was 40 minutes of swatching. So yeah, all 126 colours. But yeah, no, I like doing this because then I've got a colour reference for whenever I draw stuff with them in the future. So initial thoughts. I really like the colour range. I think there's a good mixture of muted tones and also brights. I especially like that there's a good few really murky greens, which I always think are really versatile. And I don't know how well it's showing up on camera, but the colours that impressed me the most were these fluorescents here. They look like they're glowing. Yeah, like I said, I don't know how it's coming off on camera, but in person they look like they're like some kind of glow-in-the-dark ink. Super interesting colours, yeah. Really fluorescent. And we've also got a gold and a silver down here, so you can see them catching the light. All right, now everything's nicely swatched. Let's move on to the main event. This is an idea I've had percolating in the back of my head for a little while. You know, in natural history museums and biology museums, they'll usually have a display of insects, beetles and butterflies and stuff laid out in a glass display case. I wanted to do something that was reminiscent of that in terms of kind of composition and layout, but instead let it be bug Pokemon in a sort of zoology poster sort of way. So yeah, I sketched this on Procreate on the iPad. I just printed out 10% opacity of the sketch, and we're going to draw over the top of that. I'm going to keep my swatches that I've made right there for colour reference. Should we start with this little swaddle right here? Okay, what would be a good leaf green for him? I'm immediately thinking this one. Apple green, that's perfect. This paper, by the way, if anyone's interested, I'm drawing on Daler-Rowney smooth carriage paper. I'm going to add in some lemon yellow. I remember saying this about the Arrtx markers I tried, but it seems like this colour palette set has been designed so there are several little groups and batches of colours that go really well together for, you know, being able to blend and shade in a batch of colours, if that makes sense. I just feel like that is something that has been thought through. Cute. Let me hold that up close. There's his little leaf. The colours are really rich and saturated. Another thing I've just realised is for all of this swatching, none of the nibs broke, none of the leads broke, which is something that happens super commonly in more soft chord coloured pencils. So it's just struck me how kind of unusual it is that I've done all of these swatches and absolutely none of the ends broke. So yeah, that's promising. That's a good sign. Okay, let's get into some speed drawing. You're going to notice the light change halfway through this, and that's because I ended up filming this across 2 days because it just started getting too dark to film at like 3 o'clock. I really need to get some studio lights. I just don't really have the room for them. My little art room where I make these videos is really, really tiny. It's the little box room at the back of the house. So yeah, I don't have space for lights and stuff, unfortunately. I've got to use the whims of the random patches of daylight that we get. Anyway, this was super fun to draw. I've been doing a lot of mixed media lately. I've been combining coloured pencil with markers and stuff like that. So to just sit and do a full coloured pencil rendered drawing, it was a good little change and I enjoyed doing it. There's no rhyme or reason to the bug Pokemon that I picked for this, by the way. They're from different generations and stuff. Although I do feel a bit biased towards Gen 2 Pokemon. That was my very first Pokemon game, it was Crystal. Actually, it was my first game ever at all, not just first Pokemon game. I was honestly too young to understand the game when I first got it. I didn't know what was happening. I think I just wanted to play it because my sister had it, my big sister, but I had no idea what was going on. I must have been about 6 or something. I remember for ages I didn't know that there was 8 gyms that you were supposed to progress through, and I used to just restart the game over and over and play through the first 2 or 3 towns over and over again. I enjoyed myself anyway. I eventually figured out what I was supposed to do. I always picked Chikorita as my starter. Grass types have always been my favourites, but I do appreciate bug types for their design and general coolness. I often feel like bug types get the best ideas in terms of designs. I've read that the whole game of Pokemon, overall, it's based on the idea of how little kids like to catch bugs. and that's where it all came from. And for that reason, I've always felt like bug Pokemon are the core of Pokemon. Do you know what I mean? Anyways, has anyone played the new game yet? Legends ZA or ZA? I haven't gotten it yet because I still feel burned by how badly Scarlet Violet performed for me. I couldn't even get through it. I just found it too... I mean, it was glitchy, but it was also very just sort of bleak and barren. Great big open areas with nothing in. I don't know. I couldn't even get through it. I have heard reviews that ZA is a bit better in that respect because the map is smaller, so there's kind of more to do and it overwhelms the console a bit less. So I might get it. I might try it out at some point. I probably will. So yeah, if you've got it, let me know what you think. Let me know if you think it's worth a try. But yeah, I think the older pixel art games are still the best in my heart though. Anyways, back to the art. I'm overall happy with it. I found that the pencils layered and blended really nicely. I feel like I disappointed myself with a few of my colour choices. Like I wish I hadn't used one of the darker sort of murky purples for the Dustox and the Butterfree. It's not really the right colour, but never mind. I did especially like how the really rich grassy greens came out. And I still think the concept of this drawing is really cool. I like it just as a sort of almost like zoology anatomy type poster. I can imagine this being in an in-universe classroom, do you know what I mean? For like the kids to study the bug Pokemon in the Pokemon world. Yeah, that was kind of the idea. I don't really know what happened with this border. This isn't exactly what I had in mind. I was thinking it would look more like a Celtic vine type of thing, but it ended up looking more like a DNA helix. Never mind. I'm still happy with how it overall came out. I think it's overall a cool piece. So next week's video, by the way, is going to be, I think it's going to be another vlog. I always like making those. I think it's fun to sort of take you along for day in the life type stuff. And I'm going to be doing some interesting stuff next week anyway. Going to Glasgow for an art market and that kind of thing. And vlogs are also what I like to watch as a viewer. And I think it's just a good idea to make the kind of videos that you would like to watch. Do you know what I mean? I like to make things that I would find interesting. So that's next week. Here is the finished art. I'm happy with how it came out. I think it looks really cute. I really like the coloured pencil texture. I think it looks really organic and crunchy and nice. As you can see, I've made a tiny little scribble mistake. I dropped the pencil nib down at one point and it just drew, which is one of the perils of traditional art. But yeah, no, I still think it came out cute. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!